Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag Am in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Cabus. In recent months, the White House has finalized a rule intended to clarify and strengthen the Clean Water Act. From the start, farmers, developers, and other business interests have opposed it, calling it a massive overreach by federal regulators. Today we will have the Kansas Farm Bureau, along with other commodity groups, to comment on the subject. Stay tuned.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. This segment is brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag Am in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Cabus. For decades, the Environmental Protection Agency has attempted to expand its jurisdiction under the Clean Water Act, and recently, the White House finalized a rule intended to strengthen and clarify the Clean Water Act, setting up a clash with the Republicans in Congress and the agriculture industry. On today's show, we have Ryan Flickner from the Kansas Farm Bureau to interpret how the organization responds to the rule.
This was a proposed rule that came out last year. There were over 1 million comments that were filed in the Federal Register. A lot of those, according to EPA, were just retweets and Facebook social media type stuff that said we support clean water, but of the substantiated comments that actually had what we consider relevant merit, actually encouraging EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers to clarify or change the rule. Most of those comments were in opposition of the WOTUS rules. So the proposed rule comment period closed late last year, and like I said, there were more than 1 million comments filed. EPA took a little cooling off period, and it looks like they have redrafted and rewritten a lot of the proposed rule, and they issued the final rule on May 27th. I say it's final, but it still has not been published in the Federal Register. That is the actual mechanism that makes it final. So once they do publish this final WOTUS rule or the Clean Water Rule in the Federal Register, 60 days after that date of publishment is when the rule will go into effect.
The rule is designed to clarify the kinds of waterways that are subject to the Clean Water Act, and therefore the permits required for building on or polluting in protected waterways. Supporters call the rule a significant fix for tens of millions of acres of wetland and thousands of streams that contribute to drinking water for Americans. The Environmental Protection Agency said the affected areas would be relatively small in number. Opponents said that the agency is underestimating the impact and that the rule could expose farmers and others to major costs and obstructions.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of the suggested comments, whether they came from farm bureaus all across the nation or other ag and commodity organizations, or even, quite frankly, state government and attorney generals, I don't feel like a lot of those comments and concerns were taken with any credibility. There were some changes from the proposed rule to the final rule, but what remains the Farm Bureau, our biggest concern is that the definition of tributary continues to include bed, bank, and an ordinary high water mark, and that is extremely problematic. Probably even went backwards in the final rule is because now EPA did not have the language in the proposed rule, but it's in the final rule that there is a historic look back. Anything that shows that at one point in time this land feature had a tributary running through it, if the bed, bank, and ordinary high water mark was visible back then, even though it might be plowed through or farmed through now, it will still be a water of the United States when and if it carries water.
Here's another gardening tip with Annette Jackson from Jackson's Greenhouse.
Well-designed container flower gardens bring beauty to your home, at your entry, on your patio, or placed in a special spot in your landscape. Let Jackson's help you select the correct plant combinations which will add the color and style you need and that will survive the summer to provide beauty till frost.
Our annual flat sale is going on now. Choose a flat of 4 packs for just $18.99.
Jackson's Greenhouse has what you need today.
I'm Dr. Frank Lyons, a physician here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. As one of the only standalone stem cell centers in the U.S., we use your stem cells as therapy for arthritis and some autoimmune diseases.
I'm Dr. Andrew Poe. Here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center,
Utilizing the latest technology under strict protocols, we're able to harvest your stem cells from your own fat to treat a variety of medical conditions. The best part about it is, it's a same-day surgical procedure and requires no general anesthesia.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agaminkansas.com. This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag AM in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Cabus. There's a recent debate on Capitol Hill in Washington that would block the implementation of the Administrator's new Clean Water Act rule, which redefines the waters of the U.S. Ryan Flickner from the Kansas Farm Bureau discusses conservation tactics already in place by farmers and ranchers in the United States.
Farmers and ranchers are the original conservationists. Our forefathers, they lived through the dirty 30s, and there's been a whole lot of private and public investment to make sure that our soils don't blow or wash away. Without having high quality and valuable soil, you can't grow anything. So our members want to make sure that they continue to protect that soil and the water that flows over the soil during periods of rain.
The rule is meant to make it clearer which waterways the Environmental Protection Agency and the Corps of Engineers can oversee under the 43-year-old Clean Water Act, which covers navigable waters such as the Mississippi River and Lake Erie.
There were roughly 30,277 stream miles that were considered a federal water or a WOTUS water in Kansas. This proposed rule this final rule now, actually increases that just on the state of Kansas 500%. So we go from 30,000 stream miles to 60 days after this rule is published in the Federal Register, it will be 181,822 stream miles in Kansas alone. And talking with some different folks in Washington, D.C., and even here in our state agencies, that number, the 181,000, does not include gradient or any type of terracing in the state of Kansas. And a terrace is designed to carry water. High rainfall events, you slow that water down, it goes in the terrace channel, and then it gets drained either through a tile outlet terrace or it dumps into a grassed waterway if it's a gradient terrace. So we have millions upon millions of terracing all across the state. And if it is true that EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers is going to maintain that a bed bank and ordinary high water mark must be present, and if that's the case, then that equals a tributary, then we're going to have an awful lot of gradient terraces, tile outlet terraces, and that 181,000 number just increases dramatically.
With this new rule in place, lawsuits are likely to ensue on whether the agencies violated the Administrative Procedure Act when the rulemaking violated federal protections for small businesses, and whether the rule's expanded oversight of waterways falls outside what Congress intended when it wrote in the Clean Water Act.
No doubt about it. With as technical as this is, it's probably pretty likely that a lawsuit does get filed. I don't know where or when, but if you look back at the Clean Water Act, it's been on the books since the 1970s. There's been multiple lawsuits, including 2 lawsuits in the 2000s. That really EPA felt forced to rewrite the rule to add some clarification to what the Supreme Court ruled in those 2 cases in the 2000s.
Biodiesel made from sustainable resources is diversifying our fuel supply. This year, biodiesel will displace over 1 billion gallons of fossil fuel nationwide. It's making our economy stronger and our communities healthier. It's working here and across America. Get biodiesel going in your community. Visit americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Cindy Falk, nutrition educator with Kansas Wheat, joins us. Cindy, you also serve as director of the National Festival of Breads, which was recently held in Manhattan, and once again, it was a great success.
That's correct. We had a great attendance, and we could not have a successful event without sponsors like the Kansas Soybean Commission.
And what was their involvement as far as sponsorship in the National Festival of Breads?
The Kansas Soybean Commission was the premier sponsor of our youth division. And then they also provided the award in the adult division for the best bread using a soy ingredient. We were really happy with the champion recipe. Smokehouse cranberry cheese bread. It was created by and baked by Lisa Keys from Pennsylvania, and she included tofu in her winning recipe. Of course, tofu is a great way to boost the nutritional content in her original recipe.
And I think that's amazing that so much of this can be incorporated into this contest, and that's what makes it, I guess, more dynamic in that aspect, too.
You know, I think this is one example of the collaboration that we have between the other commodity groups in the state. The common goal is to improve the success of our farmers, and we know most of our farmers don't just grow wheat or soybeans. So we appreciate the Soybean Commission being a sponsor of our contest. And they also sponsored the youth category, and the youth winner was from Maine with her wild Maine blueberry banana nut bread, and she used soybean oil in her recipe. And then also they sponsored the special award for the best recipe using soy ingredients, and that was made by Mary Graham of California, and she entered a kale, goat cheese, artisan olive bread. And she used soy milk, soy flour, soy oil in her winning recipe.
If anyone would like a copy of these recipes or would like to look, I'm sure you can find them online, but where can they go to get that?
All the recipes and photos of this contest is at nationalfestivalofbreads.com. Or you can stop by our Kansas Sweet booth in the Pride of Kansas building at the Kansas State Fair in Hutchinson in September and pick up the annual Kansas Sweet Commission recipe booklet.
Well, Cindy, congratulations on another great National Festival of Breads, and we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
That is Cindy Falk, nutrition educator with Kansas Wheat, also serving as director of the National Festival of Breads. She joins us on the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
As fourth-generation farmers themselves, Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. So when it comes to quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia, call Heinen Brothers Ag today, 800-760-4964.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help? How can we help?
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com. This segment brought to you by Heinen Brothers Ag, farmers helping farmers by offering quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia. Call today to protect your crop yield.
Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag AM in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Cabus. The Waters of the United States Rule is largely a technical document, defining which streams, rivers, lakes, and marshes fall under the jurisdiction of the Environmental Protection Agency and the Army Corps of Engineers. Paul Pinner owns and manages a cash grain farm in central Kansas near Hillsboro. Paul is on the program to comment on the schedule of events that will occur with the Kansas farmers in relation to the Waters of the U.S. Rule.
What has happened is now that the public comment period is over with regards to this proposed ruling, the EPA has decided that they are going to continue with the implementation of the ruling as it stands. Right now, it's a 300-page document that they're going to implement of their interpretation of what the waters of the U.S. means. And so now that they have decided to implement it, obviously, commodity groups, farmers and agriculture, all commodity groups, including Kansas, American Farm Bureau, is opposed to this because it represents an overreach of the regulations of what the waters of the U.S., the intent of it was.
The Clean Water Rule reportedly upholds exemptions for agriculture. However, some tributaries may be dry for prolonged periods but feed larger waterways when flooded. They will be covered by the new rule. Farmers must pay fees or obtain permits for work that may send polluted water into any body covered by the Clean Water Act.
Well, just consider the fact that perhaps you're going to irrigate your lawn and you want to put some fertilizer down, or maybe you have an insect problem and you want to be able to control that pest in your grass. As a farmer, they would require us to have a point source permit, or a permit to apply the fertilizer, or a permit to engage in whatever tillage practice you might want to do, and so that would require a lot of restrictions. Not to mention, it would also mandate fines, which are in the thousands of dollars per incident per day, and it would literally bankrupt farmers.
Originally, the Clean Water Act concerned only navigable waters of the U.S., but the all-encompassing definition, navigable waters, used by federal agencies, eventually prompted legal challenges, leading the United States Supreme Court to once again place limits on the scope of federal regulatory powers.
This law was intended originally for the major polluters in the United States, like coal mines, utilities, and the like, that really produce a lot of potential carcinogens or pollutants in the environment. But now that those rules are going to apply to farmers that till the land.
Heinen Brothers Ag Service understands the risk and rewards of farming. As fourth-generation farmers themselves, they understand the importance of using the correct products on every acre. Farmers helping farmers. Heinen Brothers Ag offers quality aerial and ground application, fertilizer, ag chemicals, and anhydrous ammonia. Call today at 800-760-4964 or find us online at HeinenBrothersAg.com.
Here's another gardening tip with Annette Jackson from Jackson's Greenhouse.
If you missed the opportunity to apply crabgrass preventer to your lawn last month, there's still time. Apply Fertilum's new product, Professional Turf Weed Out Plus Crabgrass Preventer. This product kills new crabgrass, it also prevents new crabgrass and other weeds, kills dandelions, and fertilizes your lawn, all in one application.
Visit Jackson's. We'll show you how to grow the best lawn in your neighborhood.
Jackson's Greenhouse has what you need today.
Healthy cows start with the new hired hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher. Get the new hired hand for yourself or become a distributor. Visit cowsprayer.com. The new hired hand makes healthy cows easy.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
To see this show and past episodes of Ag AM in Kansas, go online to agaminkansas.com. Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or for more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag AM in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Cavus. For decades, the Environmental Protection Agency has attempted to expand its jurisdiction under the Clean Water Act, and recently, the White House finalized a rule intended to strengthen and clarify the Clean Water Act. The measure, known as the Clean Water Rule, has attracted intense opposition from fertilizer companies, the agriculture industry, energy producers, and conservative lawmakers in Congress, who describe it as a federal overreach that will hamper economic growth and drive up costs for farmers and chemical producers. Paul Penner from the National Association of Wheat Growers discusses the problems farmers might see if this rule is put into place.
Well, what has happened is, farming technology advances, and so. But it doesn't. It does not recognize the fact that we're practicing no-till on our ground, and so we may apply some herbicides or fertilizer or pesticides, and even though we've reduced our overall environmental footprint, that doesn't negate the fact that they could find us in violation and require us to have a permit, and all it takes is just somebody in an office. With a computer map, with a GPS coordinate set on your farm, and if that person decides that ordinary high water mark applies, then you're in violation. Anything that you would do on that farm would put you in violation, and it would require permits. And if you didn't, then you'd be subject to the maximum fines as allowed by law.
Commodity groups, as well as the American Farm Bureau, urged support for Senate Bill 1140, introduced by a Wyoming senator that would require the Army Corps of Engineers and the Environmental Protection Agency to revise the definition, putting more responsibility on the states rather than on the federal government when it comes to water protection quality.
We're supporting the Senate passage of Senate Bill 1140, which basically is the Federal Water Quality Protection Act. I would say 100% of the commodity groups are behind, because this does take back the regulation and sets it back to the point where it should be.
The bottom line for producers is, with the current Environmental Protection Agency revision in place, it would have a huge impact on the agriculture business in general. Water bodies that before did not fall under the definition, such as ditches with little to no connection to navigable waters, will now be covered under the Clean Water Act and face heavy regulation.
I feel that it's going to be important when the EPA starts enforcing these rules. They're going to be coming to the state, and they're going to be looking at farms, whether it's going to be with flyovers, with UAVs, or they're going to use satellite technology to observe what's going on. When we start having those kind of fines or those notices come out that ordinary farmers are now becoming violators of a law that the Congress never intended this to be. And I think we're going to have to move forward, ramp up the pressure, even if we have to make it an election year issue. It's that important.
Thank you for watching this episode of Farm Factor on Ag AM in Kansas. For more of Farm Factor, or if you want to view programs about the Clean Water Act again, visit us online at www.agaminkansas.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. So have a good day with good luck.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, The Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.